It's Rylie.
It's Sloan.
It's Briar.
Hang on to your broomsticks.
It's about to get eerie.
Today's episode could contain themes and elements uncomfortable to some listeners. Please check the episode description and remember to always take care of yourself.
Alright, so I am going to start this by saying I am not Icelandic. I am from Tennessee. So I'm going to try my best with these names, but it was hard. I listened to Google Translate pronounce them a lot. So, just an FYI, don't hate me. So, I'm actually going to talk about the Yule Lads, which it's to keep our holiday Yuletide trend going for the month of December. They're actually called Jólakötturinn, is the Icelandic term that describes the Yule Lads. Sometimes in English it can translate to Santa Claus, because they're known as the Icelandic Santa Clauses, the 13 Santa Clauses, in more modern, and we'll dive into that. So there are 13 of the Yule Lads, and then there's Mama Yule Lad we'll talk about, Daddy Yule Lad, and then a Yule Cat. So it's a little family.
Aww.
Yeah, it's not as cute.
That'd be a lot of those decals on the back of vans.
Yellow.
That's your next one you need to put on your car.
Yes, just a bunch of little ones. And then Mama Yule Lad's eating kids, because that's what she likes to do. Sorry. Anyway.
Dark humor.
I mean, it's just Mama Yule Lad likes to eat kids.
Everyone's got their thing.
Well, that's true. Each of the 13 Yule Lads will visit on the 13 days leading up to Christmas. So it'll be one Yule Lad will come each day for those 13 days. So they have that typical story of good little children get treats, bad little kids get punishments. And so the kids will actually leave shoes in windowsills, which we've heard that with some of what we talked about last time. And so they leave their shoes in the windowsill. Good little kids get candy, and then bad little kids get rotting potatoes.
Well.
So, no call for you, rotting potatoes. Which I thought was funny, but, I mean, that would be very sad.
Yeah.
And they each stay for 13 days. So, like, the first one will arrive on December 12th and then leaves on December 25th. So they stay that whole 13 days. And then the last one actually arrives on December 24th and won't leave till January 6th. So they all have a period of 13 days, which is the whole Yuletide.
So there's a period of time where there's multiple.
Oh, yes.
Oh, Lord.
So
the 24th.
On the 24th, all 13 Yule Lads are there. Just creating mischief. And it was actually, this is just some of the general stuff, because we'll dive into each little one individual and kind of talk about what they do. So it started out, it was a tale to, get your kids to behave, especially Grýla, which is Mama Yule Lad. She was used to really scare kids, because her story was she would come down off the mountain and eat kids or throw them in a sack. But it was actually in 1746, the King of Denmark at the time banned parents from using her and the Yule Lads as torment for the kids. He didn't like it.
That's kind of similar to Krampus. Like we talked about a little bit, that he got banned and...
Yeah, they were like, it's too dark, too bad, too
traumatizing.
They were like, she's a little aggressive. So, because they're typically described as ogres or trolls. The Yule Lad family live in caves it's called Thimuburkish, and also known as the Black Fortress. And it's actually volcanic lava fields in Iceland, which have a whole lot of references in a lot of their folklore. They call it actually where Earth meets hell.
Oh.
So that's where they live. They live in those caves. They actually filmed some from Game of Thrones there. And I've not really watched all of Game of Thrones, but it's when, like, the Mance Raider held his army there, is what it said on the Iceland website. So now we will dive into the meat and potatoes. The meat being children, and the potatoes being rotten. And we're going to start with Grýla, who is considered the mother of the Yule Lads. She isn't only known for being in Icelandic folklore. She has stories all over the place and lore out the wazoo from different places.
Lore galore.
Lore galore. Yeah, there's lore galore on Grýla. And yeah, some people might recognize it because Chilling Adventures of Sabrina on Netflix has her in it. And her story there is a little different than as far as the Yule Lads go. She was actually depicted as an ancient hedge witch, which a hedge witch is someone who is like in tune with nature and herbology, usually like a solitary witch, and they're known for it's called hedge jumping, which is they leave the physical world for another world, typically like spiritual world, and do like astral projection and stuff. So that's how they kind of depicted her. And her story in that was that during a famine, which I tried to see where their origins came, if they made it up or if they pulled it from something, but I had a lot of little lads to look at, so maybe down the line we'll look, or if you know anything, let us know. But during famine, her and another witch that was in her coven at that time they made a deal, and they were going to eat their children because they were starving, and they were like, just
why not
eat one, eat two of them. We're supposed to eat one of our kids. So Grýla's son was actually first, and he was her only son. So they cooked him up, and after they ate him, the other witch actually backed out. So they all ate Grýla's son, and then that was that. And the other witch was like, I'm full. We're good. So, of course, she was, like, went crazy.
I mean, that's pretty, like,
that's valid reason.
So, from then on, she just spent eternity gathering children to replace hers, which is what she does in there, and she's, like, creating her own family. They do call them the Yule Lads in Sabrina, but they're kind of different than their actual stories. But she still calls them the Yule Lads, and they still create the mischief, if you've seen the show. So she loves children, which is different than what the tradition is, where she actually eats children. She punishes bad children. So her story was she loves children, and she hates those who harm them, and she likes to eat men. Because her husband abandoned them during the famine, so she loves kids, eats men. That's different than from what we look at. Because with the original story with the Yule Lads, she will come down off the mountain, and any children under the age of 6 who have been bad, she will toss them in her sack and take them back up to the mountain.
So she likes the young ones.
She likes the little ones. The little ones. So there's actually a town in Iceland that they do a lot of celebration. And their city hall actually has like an animation projection up on the side of their city hall. And it's Grýla with a big giant heavy sack. And she's like standing there kind of creepy looking. And she like carries this big heavy sack off.
I think, what is it with the sacks? Just stuffing children in their sack.
I mean, where else are you going to store your kids?
You can't eat all of them at once.
Yeah, so you gotta gather them. And, throw them in a sack. Why not? Why not? Just sack them up. Like crystals. I'll take a 24-pack. There's different stories about her end, too. They kind of foof it up a little bit because it was so dark. So it's still pretty dark because they still threaten to eat the kids. But it's not as bad. And let's say with the Yule Lads, they're mischiefy. But some of the older ones that they used to talk about were like straight up murderers.
Oh.
But the 13 now are just kind of...
If you're good, you're good. If you're bad,
little mischiefy, annoying pranksters.
Rotten potatoes if you're bad.
Yeah. They're not going to kill you. But their mama might come eat you. Because that's still kind of in the story. So. Now, next we'll talk about Daddy Yule Lad. His name was Leppalúði. And he's pretty much considered her lazy husband. Because there's a huge tradition with Icelandic folklore and stories that it's like a villainous duo. And the wife is always pretty aggressive and like mean and bloodthirsty and ruthless. And then it's a quiet, spineless, lazy husband. So that's kind of their dynamic. He's not known for doing a whole lot. or coming down and, like, eating. He eats children, but he doesn't come get them. He sends Grýla to get them. But he is actually Grýla's third husband.
Oh.
So her first one was named Gooster, which that one I didn't do the pronunciation on, so that one's probably extremely wrong. But he was her first husband, and she just got bored one day and ate him.
I was about to ask, did she eat him?
I mean,
She did. She did. She was just like,
I'm tired of you.
nothing good on TV. I'm gonna eat you. I'm gonna eat you.
Same thing happened to the second husband?
Well, the second husband was Bowley. She actually had a bunch of kids with him, too. And there's different stories. One says that he just died of old age. So they were together forever and he died of old age. The one I think is more fitting of her track record is she ate him.
I mean, yeah.
So, I feel like she ate him.
So you said they had kids together, or, like, did she, like...
Yeah, they had kids. No,
Okay.
I think she pretty much... I didn't read anything about her, like, eating her own kids. So...
Besides the first one.
Yes, that's from Sabrina. That story was in Sabrina.
Okay.
With that. And then in that lore, she never had any other kids of her own.
Okay, but in the
She
actual
gathered kids.
lore...
Yeah, the main, like, lore and story is she had a bunch of kids. But today, the 13 Yule Lads are really the only ones that
So,
people think about.
she have them all the Yule Lads with the second husband, or mixture with the second and third?
There's no stories about those kids she had with the second husband. It was actually Leppalúði, her lazy husband, her lazy third husband, is who she had the Yule Lads with.
Oh, okay.
All 13 were with him. But they also have 20 other kids.
Oh, dang. Okay.
So, and I think some of that comes from, they used to talk about their, like, 82 dark spirits of Christmas used to be a thing, and there's different stories. So I think that kind of tied in, because they say that Grýla had either 72 kids total or 82 kids. So I think that's kind of where it lines up.
Now that's a lot of decals on the back of a van.
Yeah, that's just like...
Mama was staying busy.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's... they were eating good. All the bad kids, so... As long as she didn't get bored and eat you first, then you had nothing better to do up in those caves. Make them little Yule Lads. And there was not really any other stories on any of the other kids. And probably if you really dug down into some, like, historical stuff, you might find some more. But the 13 are kind of, I guess, the more celebrated that you hear about and are around. With their relationship, though, I was a little surprised at one of the stories. Because there was a story, apparently, Grýla was sick and bedridden for a whole year. I don't know what occurred, but she was super sick. So she actually had a little troll nurse, I'm assuming they're all trolls or ogres, who came and was supposed to try and be helping her, probably helping her with her 72 kids, but she was supposed to be helping her. And her name was Lupa. And her lazy bum of a husband had an affair.
Oh.
And they actually had a son. So he had a son in this affair.
She eat him.
I think she must have been softer in her old age or just really sick because she was mad and enraged. But all she did was force Lupa and her kid out of the cave and off her mountain. And I'm like, girl, I would have ate them. I would have ate all three of them. Yeah, I would have.
Every single
I would have ate all. I would have threw them in a sack if I couldn't finish them then. Save them for later.
Cook them up already and put them in the freezer.
Yeah, I'd be like, you're done.
You're done.
I'm going to eat you when I feel better. I'm going to make some Lupa noodle soup out of you. But there was no story of her eating them, even though she probably should have.
She's probably so depressed that it happened. She's like, how could a man do that to me?
Either that or she was like, oh, you got some balls. I will give you that.
Right in my cave.
Yeah.
On my mountain.
Right in my cave, on my mountain, when I was sick.
So
I'm
she
just going to send them away and decide what to do with you.
So she just kicked him off the mountain.
And
But not even her husband? Yeah, she kept her husband. I'm like, what punishment did he get?
You ate the other one because you were bored.
Yeah. And then this one can do this to you? So I was a little surprised.
I mean, I guess having 72 kids with them.
Yeah, she was tired. That's what I was saying. I was like, she had to just be tired. Which I actually say when there is stories of her eventually dying. And she was like at 50. And I was like, oh my gosh. 72 kids? Sometimes 82 kids, depending on what you read. And she was just 50?
That's crazy.
I was like a cat. Popping them little things out. Little Yule Lads flying out of there. Now we will segue into our Yule Cat, which is Jólakötturinn. Actually, the Yule Cat is what drew me to them. I was like, ooh, a Yule Cat. Gotta talk about that one. It is actually a giant black cat. He chills, with the Yule Lads, and he comes around on, I'm pretty sure it said it was Christmas Eve, the 24th, December 24th. And he is hunting children who didn't get new clothes for Christmas.
How giant are we talking?
Giant. Like bigger than buildings.
Oh, snap. Like Clifford, but cat version.
Yeah. And, just hides out in the background. So all I'm imagining is this, black cat, chilling in the mist.
Does it ever, go into, what kind of cat?
No, but there's all kinds of, pictures and depictions. So I'm imagining,
I'm thinking,
Lucifer from Cinderella, but
building size.
Massive.
Because I was thinking, the build of, a Norwegian forest cat.
Big,
but
fuzzy.
massive. Yeah, super fuzzy.
There's one image that I did see, and he looked like a little cat, but, like a mountain lion-y type cat, and I was like,
You're done.
You're done. You're done. I need a big, old, fuzzy boy. And I'll be like, look, I'm in new clothes. Now let me rub your belly. You might eat me anyway. But, so. Which I kind of like that story because for when it was a cat, and then I was like, oh, great way to get kids to be excited about clothes. When you're mad and you're like, clothes for Christmas. Well, you know what? The Yule Cat's going to eat you. You want to be eaten by the Yule Cat?
Wait,
and you're
so
like, no, Mama, no. Well, too bad. You didn't want socks for Christmas.
Is it they have to be, grateful for the clothes they got? Or they
No,
just have to receive them?
We'll see. But you have to wear them.
Oh, okay.
So you can't just toss them in the bag. Because if you ain't wearing them, the Yule Cat's going to eat you.
I wonder if, in a past life, it happened to me or something. Because every time I get clothes for Christmas or, any holiday, my birthday or anything, I'm like, let me go try it on.
It's probably because we weren't little crotch goblins.
I mean, yeah.
To be honest. We were appreciative. And we like new clothes. I like new clothes.
I love clothes.
Except for, okay, this is a tangent, but it's worth it. And it's a little, embarrassing story about me. There's a video, a home video, of one of my birthdays. And I got clothes and, a pack of panties. And, I was so embarrassed watching myself. Because I was like, eh. And I just, tossed it. Just like a little freaking crap head. I wanted to punch myself in the forehead.
You be grateful for that.
I was like, you be appreciative. Now you have to buy your own panties.
You came full circle, though, because then you have the picture of you with the undies on your head.
That's
the
true.
Sasquatch from Goofy movie.
There's multiple pictures of me with underwear on my head. Because you gotta pull the hair through the,
through the little
legs.
I do full on believe that is from Bigfoot.
It has to be. It has to be something that rings true. My favorite was the little stuffed teddy bear who had the little silky purple panties. Because they fit on my head better. They weren't big ones and you just pull your hair through the side.
Well, now everybody knows something new about you, Rylie.
Yeah. I was probably about 16 when I wore the little silk ones. Because we were in Ashland and I wore it while working on Halloween stuff for your Halloween party.
Yeah, yeah.
And I sit there because it cracks me up.
Well, if we were in Ashland, I was older than 6.
Okay, I was 17.
Riley's not hiding anything.
I don't know. I just put little bear panties on my head. Not bears on the panties, but little panties you put on a teddy bear. On my head. We'll put that on a shirt. Merch coming soon. Little bear panties. Put on your head. All right.
Back to the Yule Cat.
Back to the Yule Cat. So, yeah. So if you didn't get clothes, you were getting eaten. So, And there is a little poem that I was going to read that kind of talks about his story. And it is called Jólakötturinn by... His last name is really terrible. So I have links to this. You can find them on our website if you want to read this poem. He also has one about the Yule Lads that I'll read when we dive into them. But Johannes Holtum. But again, I apologize. I appreciate his work he put into this. This poem, I do want to say, before I start reading it to you guys, this is for you listeners. I was talking, we were off recording, and I was like, well, it's not really in Icelandic, so I don't really know if it works. And Briar 100% thought I was trying to summon Grýla and her Yule Lads and the Yule Cat. She was like, it won't work.
when you're half listening and all you hear is, it's not in Icelandic, so I don't know if it'll work. I've watched too many movies.
You're about to snatch.
I told you I'm obsessed with the Yule Cat, and I want to squeeze his fuzzy belly. Squeeze that little butter sack.
Sometimes I don't know with you.
I mean, that's fair. You all know the Yule Cat, and that cat was huge indeed. People didn't know where he came from or where he went. He opened his glaring eyes wide, the two of them glowing bright. It took a really brave man to look straight into them. His whiskers sharp as bristles, his back arched up high, and the claws of his hairy paws were a terrible sight. He gave a wave of his strong tail. He jumped and he clawed and he hissed, sometimes up in the valley, sometimes down by the shore. He roamed at large, hungry and evil, in the freezing Yule snow in every home. People shuddered at his name. If one heard a pitiful meow, something evil would happen soon. Everybody knew he hunted men, but didn't care for mice. He picked on the very poor that no new garments got, for Yule who toiled and lived in dire need. From them he took in one fell swoop their whole Yule dinner, always eating it himself, if he possibly could. Hence it was that the women at their spinning wheels sat spinning a colorful thread for a frock or a little sock, because you mustn't let the cat get a hold of little children. They had to get something new to wear from the grown-ups each year. And when the lights come on Yule Eve, and the cat peered in, the little children stood rosy and proud, all dressed up in their new clothes. Some had gotten an apron, some had gotten shoes, or something that was needed. That was all it took. For all who got something new to wear stayed out of the pussycat's grasp. He then gave an awful hiss, but went on his way. Whether he still exists, I do not know, but his visit would be in vain if next time everybody got something new to wear. Now you might be thinking of helping where help is needed most. Perhaps you'll find some children that have nothing at all. Perhaps searching for those that live in a lightless world will give you a happy day and a merry, merry Yule.
Not a little positive aspect.
Yeah.
It was a little like, he's gonna eat ya! He's gonna eat ya! But you know, it's a time for giving. Make sure little kids have new clothes. Everybody deserves new clothes. So I liked it. I enjoyed it because it was about him and what he does. But it did throw that element in there. As we move into talking about our Yule Lads, I want to take a moment and ask you, the listeners, who are listening to this on the day it's released, so December 14th. Take a moment, think about some things, these questions. Have you noticed your sheep being disturbed? Have you had milk being stolen? Maybe even some crust going missing? Or what about your mixing spoons being abnormally clean? If so, I've got answers. So, just keep those in mind. Anything weird like that. Because our first little lad...
I have a question. It's very important.
Yes.
Do these little lads like berries and cream?
There's one that might like something creamy. We will get to that.
Okay.
So stay tuned. Stay tuned. So the first lad, he comes on December 12th. And his name is Stokkastarsh, which is sheep coat clod is what the translation is, sheepcoat clod. So he comes on the 12th and he leaves on the 25th. And I wasn't sure what a coat was, like a sheep coat. So it's really just like a sheep pen. He is peg-legged. He has stiff legs. And he tries to suck the milk straight from the sheep teat.
Oh.
Straight from the teat. So there was some commentary on one of the sites from a man named Robert Nelson, and I've got his link on our website, that the wooden legs is possibly because when the Anglo-American settlers moved in, they took a lot of trees and a lot of resources to, like, build, and it takes a long time for a tree to grow in Iceland. So they kind of thought that was maybe a little bit of some social commentary on this little pain in the butt, stealing their sheep milk, had wooden legs. So that, because they all have a theme of, well, not all of them. Many of them have a theme of stealing things that kind of seem simple and funny, like sheep milk. But back in the day, that was like a really precious resource, you know, their sheep milk. That's what they had. So the same man that wrote the poem about our Yule cat did a poem about the Yule Lads. And I'm going to read each little section as we go through the Yule Lads. So he wrote this in 1932, and it's called the Yule Lads poem. So this is our one for Stockastarsh. And it says, "The first of them was Sheepcoat Clod. He came stiff as wood to prey upon the farmer's sheep as far as he could. He wished to suck the ewes, but it was no accident he couldn't. He had stiff knees. Not too convenient."
Definitely not convenient.
Not when you're trying to get a sheep teat. I mean... So... That's our first one, and he's there to stay. So if your sheep have been acting a little wild, you got a little peg-leg ogre troll out there trying to get him some milk.
I'm ready to hear the rest of them.
It's good stuff. Our next one comes on December 13th. It is Healarsh, or the Gullygawk, and comes on the 13th, leaves on the 26th of December, and he would hide in gullies, which are like little, like, kind of ravines. And he would sit and watch the cows and wait for an opportunity to steal some milk. He usually liked to steal the foam off the top of the milk buckets.
What is with the Yule Lads and milk?
They just like to steal. They just like to steal things. His was a little worse because cows were very rare. You know, sheep were, like, common, but cows were rare, so that was... not very nice to steal that cow milk. But at least he wasn't stealing it from the teat.
Yeah. He'd steal the foam from the bucket.
Yeah, he would get it from the bucket, not straight from the cow. And his little section in the poem is, "The second was Gullygawk. Grey his head and mane, he snuck into the cow barn from his craggy ravine. Hiding in the stalls, he would steal the milk, while the milkmaid gave the cowherd a meaningful smile." So, you know. He would sit and stare and wait for them little milkmaids to get distracted and go steal their milk foam. Alright. Next we have Stúvish, also known as Stubby. And he comes on December 14th, leaves on December 7th, or 27th, I'm sorry. He's abnormally short, which, not
Stubby.
surprising, he's called Stubby. And he likes to steal crust out of unwashed pans.
So old crust.
Old crust, yeah. Like your remains from your scraps. But pans. Unwashed pans. Crust being his favorite.
Makes it easier to clean.
Yeah. I mean, except for if you wanted to eat that crust. If you were saving it. And Stúvish's little poem, Stúvish Stubby, is Stubby was the third called, a stunted little man who watched for every chance to whisk off a pan, and scurrying away with it, he scraped off the bits that stuck to the bottom and brims, his favorites.
So he took your whole pan.
Oh yeah, he stole your pan.
Oh, okay.
He wasn't like, oh, let me take this crust. He's like, oh no, screw that, I'm taking the whole pan.
Just imagine you just see this little creature running off with your pan.
Yeah, so first off, he takes your crust. So no crusty leftovers for you. And you're out of pan. So, oh, Stubby. still in them pans. Next up is Frorishlikish, which is spoon liquor. And he arrives December 15th and leaves on December 28th. He is known as being extremely tall and extremely skinny, which is like kind of abnormal for these guys. So, and he's actually malnourished. And so what he does is he breaks into homes and he will steal your long wooden mixing spoons and lick them.
Clean ones or dirty ones?
Dirty ones that you've been using.
Well, no wonder he's malnourished. I'm sure that's his only nourishment.
He just licks spoons.
Licking the wooden spoons.
Yes. And apparently it's a certain type of spoon that's like really common, but it's like just like pretty much a long wooden spoon, and he just licks them. Licks the spoons. And so his little poem is: the fourth was spoon liquor. Like spindle he was thin. He felt himself in clover when the cook wasn't in. Then stepping up, he grappled the stirring spoon with glee, holding with both hands, for it was slippery. So he two-handed that sucker.
He licked it clean.
And he licked it clean.
So you're out of your sheep milk. You're out of your milk, your cow milk foam.
Yep.
You're out of your
crust
pan.
Your crust pan is gone. And your wooden spoons.
And your wooden stirring spoon.
Yeah. So that's where we're at now, because December 15th. So as you're listening to this, those are the things.
And then you're going to be rushing to get a new pan and a new stirring spoon.
Right, because it's a holiday season. You can't be losing no pans and spoons.
You know what's funny, though? I just keep on thinking of a little grandma getting a big spoonful of frosting and just laying it out. Like, get some meat on your bones, honey. You need some meat.
Yeah.
You need some meat on your bones.
You're too thin. You need a little more.
Oh, that's all I've been thinking about the whole entire time.
You just want to take care of them.
I really do. I'm such a softie, and they're just these little troublemakers just stealing stuff.
Just stealing. You're like, here, steal this spoon. It's a little extra for you. Oh. So, going forward, these are all the things that you have to look forward to happening for the next days up until Christmas. Now, keep in mind, these stack on each other. So, this is happening not just one day. This is like every day he's stealing your sheep milk and disturbing your sheep. Every day he's stealing your crust, stealing your cow froth, like over and over. So, all the way through. So, it just starts getting more wild as you go.
You start losing more pans, more spoons.
Your pans, yeah. So, coming up on December 16th, there will be another little lad, a Hotkavich, who is the pot scraper or the pot licker. And he will leave on December 29th. And he is actually more of a little prankster because he likes to ding-dong ditch. He will knock on your door and then run away. So when you come to the door and you open it, he sneaks in and he steals your pots with leftovers while you're at the door. So he's a little like...
He's got a game plan.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to get you out of the way. I'm going to steal your pots. And there is a difference between what him and Stubby do. Stubby likes pans. He likes pots. There's a distinct difference. He doesn't steal pans. He steals pots.
And also, he likes all the leftovers.
All the leftovers in your pan, yeah. He will scrape whatever's out, but he likes...
not the pan.
The pots. So, see? It's a distinct difference.
And Stubby just wanted the crust.
Stubby just wants your crust. And he wants everything. And he wants you out of the way so you don't have to worry about it. So he can take whatever he wants. He's got to buy himself some time. And his is Pot Scraper, the fifth one, was a funny sort of chap. When the kids were given scrapings, he'd come to the door and tap. And they would rush to see if there really was a guest. Then he'd hurry to the pot and had a scraping fest. So, he liked to play games.
He got the work.
Yeah, he was like, knock on the door, run around, steal my scraps, having a good old time. So you have that to look forward to. Next up is Askaslakish, which is the bowl licker. They like to lick things. December 17th arrives, departs on the 30th, and an Askush is a traditional bowl that Icelandic people would put their leftovers in, and then they store it under their bed. So some things made jokes like Tupperware, and then other people were like, oh, for midnight snacks, just to have it under your bed. But what he would do is he would hide under your bed, and then when you put that bowl in there, then he eats your leftovers. And licks your bowl clean. So.
Do the one before and this one, do they steal the whole thing too, or do they actually leave you your pot and your bowl?
I think they leave you your things, because in the poem it says he hurries to the pot and then scrapes it. So he's not taking it with him and running.
He's
That's why he's buying time, because he's just going to eat there. He at least leaves it for you, your pot for you. And then the bowl licker, I guess he just hides there continuously. I would, if they just bring it to you.
Yeah.
I'm just going to tuck myself back in a corner and wait for my bowl to be refilled. That's actually, he might have the best game. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Smart.
I'm just going to hide under this bed for leftovers. So, next, we have Hularskittish, which is the door slammer, who arrives on the 18th and will depart on the 31st. And we are officially out of the lickers and milk snatchers for a minute.
Okay.
So these guys changed their game up, these Yule Lads. He is extremely loud. He likes squeaky doors. And his favorite thing to do is slam doors in the middle of the night while you're sleeping. His goal is to wake you up. So he just squeaks them doors, runs around slamming doors.
I just imagine him just sitting and just going,
Yes.
Yep.
with the door. And then all of a sudden just
Slap! And he's going to open it back up and then slam it. So, the 7th was Door Slammer, a sorry, vulgar chap when people in the twilight would take a little nap. He was happy as a lark with the havoc he could wreak, slamming doors and hearing the hinges on them squeak.
So it was
Slam! Squeaky, squeaky, squeaky. Oh, okay, I cracked myself up. It's so funny because they were supposed to be like little punishing people, but they just make me laugh.
Yeah.
Like, they are mischievous. But they also do bring treats. Because they're the ones that deliver, the kids are leaving their shoes out. So, if they're good, they're going to leave them some candy and treats.
But they're going to have some fun along the way,
they're also
too.
going to steal your pots and your pans and your crust and your milk and
Your
slam
milk
your
foam.
door, your milk foam, slam your doors. All that good stuff. But if you're good, you get candy. If you're bad, you get rotten potatoes. And then all that stuff happens. Next up is Scaramouche, who comes December 19th and leaves on January 1st. So, skyr is an Icelandic dessert type treat. It's actually like a cultured dairy product. So, it's pretty much like yogurt. That's how they eat it, like yogurt. And they'll flavor it and stuff. But it's classified as a fresh sour cream or sour milk cheese. So, which they say is like Russia has a dessert that's similar to that. But I was like, yogurt. Got it. So apparently it's really good, and it's still something they eat today, and you just buy it and it's skyr like Yoplait.
I would go for yogurt than sour milk cheese.
Yeah, sour milk cheese is kind of like,
Definitely, yogurt sounds more appealing.
Yes, yogurt. It's a yogurt. So, he is the skyr gobbler, and he breaks in and will steal all of your skyr. He'll take it all. That's what he does. He just snatches it all. Which is, apparently he's like one that everybody relates to, and they're like, oh, don't blame you. So his little poem is, Skyr Gobbler the 8th was an awful stupid bloke. He lambasted the skyr tub till the lid on it broke. Then he stood there gobbling, his greed was well known, until about to burst he would bleat, howl, and groan.
So he would stuff himself full.
Yes, he would eat till he's about to pop. Relatable.
Me on Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yeah, I was like, I see. So then we have Buna Creekish, and he is the sausage swiper, and arrives on the December 20th and leaves on January 2nd. And he kind of creeped me out, just the thought of it, because he would hide in the rafters.
Oh, gosh.
And then jump down and steal your smoked sausages.
Oh, yeah, that's a little creepy.
So, I'm just imagining, like, this creepy little troll chilling up there, staring at your sausages, just waiting to pounce.
I don't know why when you said that, my brain thought of the SpongeBob episode where the lights keep flickering and they're like, Nosferatu.
Yeah. I go back to being nice again. It's like, you want some sausage? You can just come sit down, bud. If you will share, we got plenty.
You
to
don't
go
gotta be
around.
creepy.
Yeah.
Get out of the rafters.
Yeah, but you didn't think it was creepy that the one hides under your bed?
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
something about the rafters is creepier. So his is... The ninth was Sausage Swiper. A shifty pillifer, he climbed up to the rafters and raided food from there. Sitting on a crossbeam and sootin' in smoke, he fed himself on sausage, fit for gentlefolk. Sausage Swiper. Swiping, no swiping.
That's exactly what I was about to say that.
The next one might be the creepiest. He comes on December 21st and leaves on January 3rd, and he is the Glukkakish? It's a hard one, but window peeper.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, window peeper. So I think they try to downplay it a little bit. But he would stand outside your windows to scare the children, and he's scoping out anything good to steal. So he's like...
Anything's on limits for him.
Whatever he wants. He wants to look in there, and he's like, that kid looks cool.
You went right
I'm
to
going to
that.
bring you back to mother.
Yes. It doesn't say that's that he steals kids, but I don't think he does. But I was like, you're a window peeper. You're a window peeper. One more time. You're a window.
My nightmare fuel.
So they give excuses for him that and they're trying to explain why his story was what it is. But in wintertime, it's really dark in Iceland, and they only get like a few hours of sun. So they say he was a deterrent to keep little kids in, because you knew the window peeper was out there peeping in your window. Because in Iceland, the longest day of winter will have in the middle of December, it has 5 hours of sun. So the sun will rise at 11 a.m. and then it sets at 3 or 4 in the afternoon.
I feel like at some point I'd be like, listen here, window peeper. And I'd go outside and square up.
Like, you peeping at me, son? No peeping for you. But then he can just steal whatever he wants. It reminds me of Home Alone. That's what I envision. So it says, the 10th was Window Peeper, a weird little twit, who stepped up to the window and stole a peek through it. And whatever was inside to which his eye was drawn, he most likely attempted to take later on. So he's just gonna snatch whatever he wants. Because he's a rude.
I see it. I like it. I want it. I got it.
That's how he was. And he's gonna scare the little kids while he does it. And his picture, there's when you look at them up, there's a really common set of pictures that you see. He's got weird glasses and his eyes are all going different ways.
Oh.
I'm like, ha ha ha. Let's go back to the sausage swiper.
That little peeper.
Living in my rafters.
Stubby.
Yeah, where's Stouffer? On to the next is Hotasabish, who is the doorway sniffer.
Oh. Well,
I mean,
we've got a window peeper and a doorway sniffer.
and a doorway sniffer. He's not as creepy, though. It sounds creepy being a doorway sniffer, but he is December 22nd. He leaves on January 4th, are his days. He has a large, long nose and a strong sense of smell. And what he does is he sticks his nose to your door and, smells
Just takes a
good
long
smells.
whiff.
He's,
just-
smelling out for goodies. He wants your treat, so he's trying to see.
Oh, so he's just staying in the
cake.
doorway.
Yeah. Which I did. It was funny because I was like, oh, is that when your doors whistle? In the winter?
Yeah.
If you get a whistle, it's him sniffing.
Could you find anything on that?
No. But that's what I'm going to say in my head. He was
I don't know if I want to say that.
when
When the doorway whistles that it's him sniffing, because I'll be like,
oh, God.
Well, that just reminded me of it's a story, I forget what the origins are, but it's this little boy goes to this bakery and he stands in the door and he sniffs all the good smells from the bakery, and the baker gets mad that he's not paying for anything and takes him to court or something. And the judge is like, if he's just smelling, then you get the sound of money. So every day after that, he would just take out his change and be cling, ting, ting, while he sniffed.
When he is sniffing, he's actually looking for baked goods. And one of the common things he looks for is called leaf bread, or sometimes in America refers to it, or the English refer to it as snowflake bread. And it's a traditional Icelandic Christmas tree, and it's this really thin dough, and they cut out shapes and decorate them. They actually did it on Great British Baking Show, if you watch the season, and they're like these really long, crispy bread. And they cut little delicate lines in them. You can Google it, and some of them are fancy. And they cut all kinds of stuff in them. But that's what he's trying to track down. And so it says, the 11th was door sniffer, a doltish lad and gross. He never got a cold, yet had a huge sensitive nose. He caught the scent of lace bread, while leagues away still, and ran toward it weightless as wind over dale and hill. So he got that sniff, and he was like, I'm gonna get that bread. Then we're getting closer to the end. We've got 2 left. The one that comes on December 23rd and leaves on January 5th is called Yet Crokish. And that is the meat hook. Meat hooker. And he carries a large, scary metal hook and steals your meat with his metal hook.
Rather the meat than me.
Yeah. Could be worse. Could be worse.
It definitely could be worse.
But I thought it was interesting. He's the only one that seemed to carry some. So he's just like, hooking that meat. Hook that meat. Let's see. He says, the meat hook, the 12th one, his talent would display as soon as he arrived on St. Thorlak's Day. He snagged himself a morsel of meat of any sort, although his hook at times was a tiny bit short. So he was lacking in the meat hook department? Well, at least
Hook size doesn't matter.
That's right. It's not the size of the hook, it's what it hooks. So,
continue.
Yet Crokish, the meat hooker. Alright. On to the next one.
I just imagine him standing on the corner of it. Spare meat!
Spare meat! I have but a wee hook. He ain't two-handing that hook like the other one's two-handing the spoons.
Golly.
Anyway. Our last little Yule Lad. Okay.
We're on the final one.
We got this.
Let's go.
We got it. He comes on December 24th and departs on January 6th. So on the 24th, that means every Yule Lad is out and about, living their life, hooking their meat, sucking them sheep teats. Or, hiding under bed, sniffing doors.
Hiding in the rafters.
Hiding in the rafters, peeping in your windows.
All that good stuff.
Happy holidays. But our last one is Heshtashnikish. And it's the candle stealer or the candle beggar. Either way. And he would follow children and steal their candles. So, back in the day, candles used to be made of fat. So they were edible, so he would eat their candles.
These little lads are just hungry.
They're hungry. Their mama just eats kids. And they're like, Mama, we don't want to eat kids. We want milk. And meat. And sausages and crust, Mom, please. So, he actually had an extra little tradition because kids would actually leave a candle for him with their shoes so that they could get an extra treat.
Aw.
So, I don't know why.
They're acting like slow now.
Yeah, I was like, what did I say? You'd be a little nice. Maybe you'll get a little extra.
So they're like, here, eat my fat candle. Just don't hook my meat.
That's the other brother.
He came the day before. So I thought that was pretty neat that they would leave him a candle in their shoe for a little bit of extra. But then I guess if they were bad, then they lose a candle and then they just get rotten potatoes. I wonder if he leaves extra rotten potatoes.
Or maybe he's like, you're good in my book.
Maybe.
He's a little sweet
Maybe it makes
treat.
up for it. Or he's like, I'm going to send my brother in after you.
He's like, thanks for the candle, but door
sorry.
sniffer, window peeper, they're coming for you.
Meat hooker. So, those are the 13 Yule Lads. And
You gotta read his poem.
Oh, I did. I forgot all about his poem. I was still caught up in Meat Hooker. The 13th was Candlebeggar. 'Twas cold, I believe, if he was not the last of the lot on Christmas Eve. He trailed after the little ones who, like happy sprites, ran about the farm with their fine tallow lights. And he would jag 'em.
And
eat 'em. Now that's the 13 Yule Lads. So, I enjoyed them. They're funny. They're not too... For us, they don't seem like super menaces because what they steal. But like I said, those were important resources. So I could see where that's...
Back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day, it's like, dang it, our candles. But I thought they were funny. But I did have a thought when I was going through about our modern Santa Claus and whether or not he was a Yule Lad. Because they call him the Santa Clauses, and it translates to Santa Claus. But he comes into our house in the middle of the night, leaves presents if you're good, coal if you're bad, and then you leave him milk and cookies.
Yeah.
What if you didn't leave him milk and cookies? Would he steal them?
That's interesting.
We don't know.
And especially because you said that it's kind of in the lore that Grýla ended up dying.
Yeah.
So, like, after Grýla died, the Yule Lads were like, it's time to disperse.
Yeah.
Oh.
So...
I just thought of something. Like, we all think of Santa Claus, but he goes all over the world, or at least to the people who celebrate Christmas and deliver presents. What if it's all 13 of them?
Yeah, and they're all like going around. They're like, you know what? Our days of thievery is over.
As long as you leave us.
They leave us milk and cookies. We're good. We're good.
And that's how it gets done
They
in
no
one
longer
night.
have to suck the milk from the sheep teat.
Yeah, they're like, you know what? I'm modern. It's a new decade. They suck it out of the teats for you. Just put it in a mug. Froth it up. Give me a cookie.
We're good.
Or like the people now that leave Mountain Dew and Doritos.
Nice little change.
Who knows? Maybe they could still do it. Maybe Santa's licking your spoons, putting them back in your drawers. Actually, he probably ain't making it. Spoon licker probably didn't make it.
Yeah.
He's too malnourished.
Yeah.
He's like, there's not enough spoons to lick.
Candle stealer needed to give him some of that fat from those candles.
Yeah, now he's like, what is this? It's wax. But it's a fun story. It's a fun tradition. The poem is actually really commonly still read in schools and stuff. Like a tradition. It kind of gave me like the 12 Days of Christmas vibes. So they'll still recite it and stuff. But I thought they were cool. Gives you something to think about. Keep those things in mind.
Definitely interesting.
As they start coming. And see if you get visited by one of the Yule Lads. Or all of them.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Until next time,
Remember, you can find us on
Our own website,
Facebook,
Instagram,
YouTube,
Twitter,
and even Pinterest.
links are in the description.
As always,
stay weary.
stay leery.
And stay eerie.